Order.
Roll call for the City Council meeting of November 16th at 7:30 p.m. Mr. Mirsky, Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Witherspoon is absent. Please rise for a moment of silent meditation and Pledge of Allegiance.
If I could, I'd ask that we remember all those in our community, both locally and globally, that are less fortunate than we are. Remember those who have lost loved ones since the last time we were in these chambers. In particular, the Lee family. Mr. Rusty Lee passed away last week. He was also a city employee and a mentor of mine and a family friend. And again, not just that family, but every family that's lost loved ones. But also, finally, we ask that our God and Creator give us the wisdom and give us the information to make the best decisions for the citizens of the city of Erie.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes for the City Council meeting of Wednesday, November 2nd, 2016, and bills for payment on October 28th and November 4th, 2016. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mirsky.
At this time, we will invite Mayor Sinnott to give us presentation on the budget.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council, Madam Controller, Madam Clerk. Good evening. Tonight I present you with the 2017 budget for the City of Erie. It is the budget for the 12th and final year of this administration. Once again, it is a balanced budget that reflects the true costs of providing safety and services to our citizens, as well as accurate revenue projections necessary for providing these services. It does not include any tax or fee increases. Over the 11 years of this administration, we have addressed the root problems facing city government, focused on our core competencies, changed our way of doing business, reduced our workforce, and created realistic solutions. The result is a much more stable operating model that allowed us to provide public safety and services at the level required to properly serve this community at the lowest possible cost. By adhering to these strict budgeting practices and focusing our resources to best serve our community as a whole, we have been able to accurately anticipate attainable revenues and contemplate the true costs of doing business. By strictly following these guidelines, we have been successful and solvent for each of the 11 years I've held this office. My administration continues to keep its promises to the citizens of Erie that we will administer city government in an efficient and an effective manner for their benefit. Our department heads, bureau chiefs, supervisors, and staff have all worked diligently to find new ways to conduct operations so as to save money for our taxpayers while continually refining our methods so that services would not be compromised. The 2017 budget reflects the ongoing stability in our operation that we have worked very hard to develop. In these 11 years, we have become a model across Pennsylvania for communities trying to find their way out of economic insolvency and shown that financial hardships can be overcome if we are willing to face the issues head-on, look at the long-term ramifications of our decisions, avoid politically motivated inefficiencies, make hard decisions, and formulate real solutions. This is something that we as a community can be proud of. Our philosophy of prioritizing, focusing on core competencies, eliminating extraneous spending, vigorously monitoring our cost centers, and diligently working to maximize efficiency in every area of the operation allows us to remain financially healthy in the face of ever-increasing cost centers. For example, we have paid down our aggregate debt by nearly $47 million and upgraded our bond rating 4 times, going from junk bond status in 2005 to our most recent rating of A stable investment grade. Because of this better rating, our remaining debt carries a lower interest rate, keeping our annual payments as low as possible to minimize the impact on our annual budgets. This has allowed us to reallocate monies previously going to debt service to fund other projects without needing to increase taxes to cover these costs. In the area of risk management, Our enhanced safety programs and claim management have led to extraordinary savings in both workmen's comp claims and property and liability losses. We have managed to cut our workmen's comp claims by nearly 70% since 2006, and our property and liability costs have been cut in half. Over the past 11 years, we have saved our taxpayers millions of dollars by effectively lowering our risk and diligently managing claims to conclusion. These are just two examples of the many measures we continue to pursue to ensure a stable financial future for this community for years to come. We do, however, still face the ongoing challenge of our declining revenue base and supporting an operation which continues to increase in cost each year. Although we have effectively managed the costs that we control, there are a host of expenses that are outside of the control of the administration and council and are determined by Harrisburg legislation. The work we have done in Erie to isolate and engage the real challenges facing our city has inspired other cities to band with us in order to formulate an agenda for change and challenge Harrisburg to address the root of the common problems so that long-term successes for our cities can be achieved. The issues being addressed include skyrocketing pension costs, Act 111 uniform service contract costs, and post-employment benefits. These items have a significant impact on our long-term financial stability. For example, in 2017, our budgeted pension contribution, which is mandated by state law, will be approximately $13.7 million. This is up from $3.65 million in 2006, a nearly 350% increase over this 11-year period. This will continue to climb each and every year until there is meaningful reform in Harrisburg that includes municipal pensions. Our employee costs in the police and fire departments have gone from $25.5 million in 2006 to $46.9 million in 2017, an 83% increase. These are the legacy costs of mandatory arbitration awards over the many years gone by. This is despite the fact that the last 3 contracts were successfully settled well within our budget parameters and include increases in employee contribution to health care costs at the level of 15%. Our post-employment benefits, which were cited as a weakness by Standard & Poor's in our most recent bond upgrade, are currently $1.8 million per year. These costs include health benefits for retired uniformed service members and are the direct result of mandatory Act 111 arbitration awards. In contrast, our entire general fund budget has increased from $55.5 million in 2006 to $74.9 million in 2017. This is an approximately 35% increase over the last 11 years, contrasted by a 70 to 350% increase in our major cost drivers during that same time frame. This shows that through effective stewardship of the operation, we have been able to counteract some of the effects of these much larger increases in the non-discretionary items. However, these costs continue to grow at a very disproportionate rate. Until such time as there is meaningful change in the laws in Harrisburg, we must continue to focus on our core competencies and take a long-term approach to prioritizing our expenditures so that the challenges of funding our fundamental services will have the smallest possible impact on our taxpayers. The budget I present today will continue our progress. It reflects true revenue projections as well as real cost estimates. It honestly contemplates the real needs for 2017 and the best way to apply our resources to meet those needs. As I promised with each of the previous budgets, our goal is to administer an efficient, effective, and progressive operation, and as the results of each of the 11 years of this administration shows, we did just that. This budget is no different. Once again, it does not include property tax or fee increases, and it does not include any new personnel or programs. It simply supports the current services and capital needs in those areas. Finally, I would like to thank every department head, bureau chief, and employee of the City of Erie who continue to do everything in their power to make city operation affordable to the taxpayers. They are to be commended for their dedicated efforts. I would like to thank you, our City Council, for continuing to work with us in a positive and proactive manner. We have all been part of the successes we have realized over the past 11 years. I would like to commend you for your work in supporting the hard decisions which brought us through the difficult times and for becoming more aware of the operation of the city and the consequences of the decisions made within this chamber. I would also like to thank the City Controller and City Treasurer for continuing to work with us to help easily implement the operation in each of your areas. Together, we have created an economically stable city government and shown our community that we can work together to create a government that truly operates with their best interest as a first priority. We ask that you adopt this budget because we believe it truly reflects our community's needs and properly contemplates a long-term strategy for funding them. My staff will be available to help you understand the information in the budget and the thought processes that went into each of the decisions comprising the individual budget recommendations. Thank you.
Any questions from council? Mayor, I want to thank you for presenting us with the budget. I'm very pleased to hear that there are no tax increases and no fee increases, especially in light of the fact that the county adopted a tax increase. Our citizens really appreciate the fact that we're able to manage our costs and keep things in line. Thank you also to Mr. Lichtenwachter for all of your work on the budget, and we look forward to scheduling those budget sessions with you so that we can go into detail about the budget. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
With that, we will continue on with the meeting. Any requests for repository sales? Any requests for repository sales? Any requests for repository sales? Seeing none, citizens to be heard. No citizens called ahead of time to sign up, so we will just take citizens from the audience who would like to be heard.
Good evening, Erie City Council. My name is Jason Brundle. I'm at 4131 McClellan Avenue. In the past couple of years, I've watched my neighborhood go downhill. When I say go downhill, meaning that safety concerns are apparent at Walzak Park. July 22nd, I was a part of this thing called a hate crime. There was 3 individuals that attacked me. And I contacted the Erie Police. I've done my reporting and I've done my filing, and yet the Erie Police has not reached out to me to see if we can do a further investigation. My father and my mother and my family were devastated for the fact that I almost died. Now, with the safety of the neighborhood at hand, there are sidewalks that are not even there. On East Grandview and McClellan Avenue, on East 44th and McClellan Avenue, East 43rd and McClellan Avenue, and Northview Heights Apartments does not have any sidewalks on East 43rd from their parking lot on East 43rd to McClellan. And there is on College Plaza on East 38th, the ADA has not looked at that plaza because there are no ways for the handicap to go straight from the post office on East 38th to go across onto College Plaza to the corner of Zimmerman and East 38th. There's no way that somebody in a handicap or somebody on a bike, because what they have to do from the post office of 30th and McCain is they have to go down the ADA compliant corner, and there's a corner that does not have a way to go up, meaning that the bikes cannot go on it, meaning that there is no way for people that are handicapped cannot use that sidewalk right there. But more importantly, getting back to my neighborhood, the sidewalks need to be completed on McClellan Avenue from 43rd to the city boundary, which is at East Grandview. There's no sidewalks. So the safety of the young adults that are moving in, the new breath of fresh air that are coming in, that are my generation with their kids, I want them to walk around the neighborhood. I want the young blood to start jogging, but there's no sidewalks. And it's called Gorniak Hill. It's where the Kohler House used to be. There's no sidewalks on that plot of land. I do not know if it's part of the National Historical Landmarks, but it's a safety concern. I mean, they stopped the sidewalks. There's nothing there. So I'd like to make sure that Walzak Park is looked at, because the image and presentation Walzak Park has gone through for the past 5 years has gone downhill. It needs upgrades. It needs a new playground on a lower level. It needs a picnic pavilion that is safe, and it needs upgrades like anybody else would see. And one of the last things is, again, for the past decade, I've seen and I've read that this Model United Nations flag got hoisted up a flagpole. Well, I've been asking to hoist the LGBT flag, the gay pride flag, in June, countless times. And I think it's an offensive, and I take offense for that. Because if you're going to raise the flag for the Model United Nation, then you have to raise it for every other organization, group, or community that is out there. The Latinos, the African Americans, the gays, the different communities that have a banner that represents them. If you're going to hoist the United Nations flag in the city of Erie, you have to hoist every other one's, because I feel offended that I couldn't raise a flag that symbolizes who I am with what's been going on in the nation for the past 8 years for LGBT equality in the city of Erie. Because Allegheny does it, Allentown does it, Pittsburgh does it, and I do not know why Erie can't do that for the LGBT community. So I hope we can look at the safety concerns of Walzak Park and the sidewalks that on 43rd and McClellan, and the fact that the LGBT flag has not been hoisted during Pride. Thank you. And also, thank you for doing an exceptional job on City Council. You guys are really making sure that all the citizens are heard, and I commend your job. You're doing an excellent job, and keep fighting for Erie, and thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens to be heard?
Good evening, Council. My name is Jeremy Blazer. I'm the Executive Director of the Bayfront Eastside Task Force, BEST, at 420 Parade Street. I'm here tonight just to speak briefly on your upcoming vote on the land bank legislation. I am, and my entire board, very much in favor of the land bank. I've been before you talking about the land bank at past times, so I thought I'd just give you a quick example of exactly how a land bank might impact an organization such as ours. We purchase properties in many different ways, blighted properties. Some of those have to be demolished. Others can be renovated. We do all of that. We purchase through the Erie County Judicial Tax Sale quite frequently every year that I've been at the helm of BEST. So last 2 Tuesdays ago on November 8th was the most recent tax sale. There was actually one property on the list that we were interested in. It's a 3-unit property, 446 East 5th Street. The previous owner did not pay their mortgage, did not pay their taxes for the past 3 years. This property has been sitting vacant. Grass did not get cut there once this year. And code enforcement does put stickers and does try to do their best to get those things brought into alignment. But quite frankly, when no one cares about the property, it's hard to hold anybody accountable. So that's a property that we felt if we could purchase, we can make something good happen. We're hoping to renovate that property and bring it back into a good 3-unit, provide some safe, affordable housing. So the way the tax sale works is properties get put up and they are available for a minimum bid of $1,000, and it stops when people stop bidding. So my organization could have had that property for $1,000. It ended up costing us about $15,000 to purchase that property. And I say that not to whine about BEST having to spend more dollars than maybe we would have anticipated for a property like that. We know that we will do good with that property. Our neighbors trust that we're going to do a better job with that property than the previous owners. And if I could save some money on that purchase, well, that would allow us to use those extra dollars to go after additional blighted properties. As you know from the Erie Refocus plan, we have more than our fair share of blight and not enough resources to attack it. So an organization such as mine, our resources are precious. We would love to buy more blighted properties, and now we've invested quite a few into this one property. So a land bank would simply allow us to circumvent that entire process, to negotiate a fair price for that property, hopefully much less than the $15,000 that it cost us, thus allowing us to use our resources more effectively. So we are very much in favor of the land bank. I'd like to thank Redevelopment Authority and Scott Henry on leading the charge on getting that information in front of you, and I hope you take the first step in making that a new tool for us to use in our flight versus blight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens to be heard?
Hi, City Council.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Lepak, and as you know, I'm the Youth Coordinator for Youth Leadership Institute of Erie. We have our new fall programming started actually. We're halfway through it already. And these are some of the kids that are representing the new class coming in. We also have one of our veterans, and he'll be talking to you about what it is that he's been doing as well. So I'm just going to kind of give the stage to the kids, and they'll introduce themselves a little bit to you. Okay?
Hello, my name is Samuel Raw, and I am the chair of the program committee of our Student Ambassador Leadership Team. I'm also a junior at Northwestern Pennsylvania Collegiate Academy. And I would just like to say that as I've grown with the Youth Leadership Institute of Erie, I've also grown to enjoy working with my fellow SALT members and accomplishing various acts of service in our community to positively impact our community, as well as the youth in it and the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nari Burrows, and I'm in 9th grade at Strong Vincent High School. And I'm here today because I'm a part of the training for the Youth Leadership Program.
Hi, I'm Kyrie Noble, and I go to Strong Vincent. I am in 11th grade, and it's nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shamsi Noor. I am a senior at East High School.
Hello everyone, my name is Lucas, and I go to East, and I'm in 11th grade. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I go to Leadership Charter School of Excellence. I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Edwin, and I go to Skill Center, Charlottesville, and I'm in 10th grade.
Hi, my name is Hannah Smart. I attend Strong Vincent High School. I'm a junior.
Hi, I'm Radisha Payne, and I'm a junior at Strong Vincent High School.
Hi, my name is Robin Hollingsworth, and I'm a junior at Strong Vincent High School.
Hi, my name is Niall Edmonds, and I attend Skills Center. The 11th grade.
They're working on their public speaking skills. So as one of the requirements, we have them attend city council, county council, and school board meetings so they see how things work in the city and that there's something bigger out there than just them, and to give the affords for them to have the freedoms and the liberties that they do have. It trains them to be civic-minded as well, so they are connected back to their community, and then they are less likely to engage in the things that we would not like them to do. But they are going to become your future leaders, and we promote their positive peer influence. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Now, will you be sticking for the meeting, or do they have to go to?
It is a school night, so 8:30 they're going to have to leave.
Okay. Well, then I'll just address them very briefly. I just wanted to thank you for being here, and thank you for coming up and speaking, especially at your young age. That is very difficult to do sometimes, to speak publicly in front of a group of people, and you did very well. And I want to thank Mr. Nicholson and Ms. Crystal. You do a fantastic job with youth leadership development, and the city's a better place because of you, young people, and our future's bright because of you. So thank you, and stick with this program because, Mr. Nicholson, if you go through this whole program, you really come out of it as a first-class citizen and a first-class person. So I want to encourage you to stick with this program. It's excellent. Thank you. Does anyone else want to say anything? No? What grade are you in? I'm just teasing.
It's been so long since I went to school, right? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just teasing you.
100th grade right now.
A little
little levity.
You weren't teasing.
Good evening.
My name is McDonald. My property is 19th and Reed. Good evening. You know, the last council meeting I was at, I think the city lawyer was just outside of the box. When Joe he wasn't arrogant or anything. He was a gentleman, I think. And that's something unusual about Joe, if you all knew him. When he was going to present the city lawyer with that paper, and the lawyer pushed it down on the floor, that was an ignorant thing to do. That was real ignorant. It didn't make sense. Because he wasn't going to honor it anyway. He wasn't going to keep it. So why would he do that? I think we deserve better than that. And I hope you all address it. It wasn't a nice thing to do. I don't know. I have a few issues. Of course, you know I always do when I come down here. If I didn't have none, I wouldn't come down here. You know, y'all lucky, though. You're blessed. Luck is of the devil. When I was a lad, small lad, I fell on a hoe. It wasn't no two-legged hoe. It was a hoe that you dig the ground with. And it affected me over here. It dug a hole in the side of my head. And y'all better be glad that happened, because I think I could address y'all better if I didn't have this missing part. I knew something is missing over there. Y'all do too. But I thank God for what He's done for me. And He's been good to y'all. You just can't see it. And you're not thanking Him for what He have done for you and what He's doing for you. He's a merciful God. Those kids y'all took that money from, that wasn't right. Our kids are our greatest asset. Those are our future. Like you were kids one time, and you were your parents' future. Some of you, I know your parents ain't too proud of you for what you've done up there, because you haven't done nothing for the taxpayers. Everything you've done has been for Joe. I've told you before, Joe didn't put you in office. The citizens put you in office. The taxpayers put you in office. And I don't see nothing that you did for us. We got all them parks. They're beautiful. Wasn't nothing wrong with them before they started working on them. You spent a lot of money. I was surprised that Joe didn't increase taxes. All that money y'all done spent, you spent some money. Every time you have a meeting, you're spending money. I wish y'all would take it easy on our pockets, because there are some people out there just don't have no money. You take that bond grant money. It used to be for people to fix their houses up. People don't even know that money existed anymore. Y'all use it as you please. As Joe wanted. There are people that just can't afford what you are asking. But, hey, you change nothing. I hate to be in your shoes when God come along, because he's going to call you for what you've done. He's going to ask you what you've done. And you're going to be talking about, oh, not me. Why me? Why not you? You're the policy makers. You're supposed to be our fathers and mothers. That's what you want. Yeah, that's what you act like you want us to be. Your children. You want to treat us like children. I'm an old man. A lot of you won't make it far as I did. And believe that if you want to. I'm 83. But I fight like I'm 16. And ain't scared of nobody. Not none of y'all. Joe and nobody else. God didn't give us a spirit of fear. I don't have sense enough to be scared of nobody anyway. You have these bullies You have grown bullies too, not only in schools. You have bullies out on the streets. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
Any other citizens to be heard?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Jim McGoey, West 41st Street, Erie. I just wanted to take a few minutes to thank you for moving the land bank ordinance forward. This ordinance could be a godsend for a city to start its turnaround. Several years ago, the Erie County Coalition of Housing Organizations, of which there's about 47 members, looked at this idea. And at that time, Flint, Michigan had what most people consider to be the model. But don't drink the water. I would encourage this council to look at their program for ideas before you get too far into the ordinance and implementing it in Erie. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other citizens to be heard? Any other citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we will continue on with the meeting.
Ordinances for final passage. Council File Number 15967, Official Ordinance Number 29, 2016. An ordinance amending Part 9 of the Codified Ordinances, Streets, Utilities, and Public Service Code by adding a new Article 959, Land Bank, establishing the Erie Land Bank.
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Mr. Mirsky, Mr. President, excuse me. I'm absolutely in support of the land bank concept and idea. And I do get the point that was made earlier and the points that will continue to be made in relation to giving the city and other organizations, affiliates of the city, privilege to be able to maybe to get properties earlier, sooner, usurp some of the sheriff's sale processes, et cetera. I do, at the same time, though, think that we have to be careful to not go to the other end of the spectrum, to not allow the citizen who is responsible, who does have the means, and who does desire to utilize purchasing houses and property, and whether for themselves or for business and career or revenue making, as long as they're doing that effectively. So I think there's a balance that has to be had in that conversation as well. That as we move forward, again, I'm in support, but as we move forward, don't want to lose light of that either. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, call for the question.
By Mr. Mirsky, seconded by Mr. Brennan, that Council File Ordinance Bill Number 15969-7, and now known as Official File Ordinance Number 29, 2016, be finally passed by the City Council. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mirsky. City Council passed a file Ordinance Number 2029, 2016, finally by yeas 6, nays 0. Signing my new name.
You remember?
Council File 15968, Official Ordinance Number 30, 2016. An ordinance amending Part 3 Business Regulation and Taxation Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Erie by adding Article 331, City of Erie Business Development Revolving Loan Fund, Sections 333.01-331.03, adoption, criteria, and funding, respectively, to create the City of Erie Business Development Revolving Loan Fund with a $250,000 Urban Development Action Grant funding instrument received by the City of Erie.
Discussion. Seeing none.
By Mr. Mirsky, seconded by Mr. Kwiatkowski, the Council File Ordinance Bill Number 15968, and now known as official file ordinance number 30, 2016, be finally passed by the City Council. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mursky. City Council passed official file ordinance number 30, 2016 by yeas 6, nays 0. Ordinances for first reading. No, one more ordinance for final passage, sorry. Council file number 15969, official ordinance number 31, 2016. An ordinance appropriating the sum of $250,000 to be received as a transfer of funds from BUDAG, Bayfront Urban Development Action Grant, towards the creation of the City of Erie Business Development Revolving Loan Fund in connection with the accompanying ordinance number 15968. By Mr. Mursky, seconded by Mr. Kwiatkowski, the Council file ordinance bill number 15969, and now known as official file ordinance number 31, 2016, be finally passed by the City Council. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mursky. City Council passed official file ordinance number 31, 2016 by yeas 6, nays 0. Okay, now ordinances for first reading. Council file number 15970, an ordinance fixing the tax rate for all city purposes for the fiscal year 2017, beginning on January 1st, 2017, and ending on December 31st, 2017. By Mr. Mursky, seconded by Mr. Winarski, that Council file ordinance number 15970, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by the City Council. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mursky. City Council read and adopt Council file ordinance number 15970 by yeas 6, nays 0 on first reading.
Just for the citizens to be aware, this is a first reading for establishing a tax rate. We do have to do a second reading, and we will do that after our budget sessions. But we put this first reading in anticipation of the budget sessions and passing a final budget for next year for the City of Erie.
Council file 15971, an ordinance of the City of Erie, County of Erie, and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania adopting the general fund and certain other budgets for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2017 and ending December 31st, 2017. By Mr. Mursky and seconded by Mr. Winarski, the Council file ordinance number 15971, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by the City Council. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mursky. City Council read and adopt Council file ordinance number 15971 by yeas 6, nays 0 on first reading. Hang on a minute. Now we'll go to new business. New business.
New business.
Mr. President.
Mr. Winarski.
Vote to move the balance of the agenda.
So moved. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Jones with the second. Any separations? Seeing none, we'll continue on with the meeting.
All right, moving the balance of the agenda. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mursky. That will take us to committee reports, Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Winarski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very brief this evening. Good evening once again, everyone. Just want to applaud the administration and all the city departments for help presenting a balanced budget to the City Council. The members of council here are not in City Hall on a daily basis, so we have to rely on these departments as well as the administration to help keep us informed on where the dollars are at, what the process is, and how things are going. It does help being presented with a balanced budget, but with that being said, it's still, we want to do our due diligence, look into the budget, and get a little in-depth with it and compare it with prior years as well as moving forward to 2017. I want to thank Erie Insurance Exchange once again for investing in not only our downtown Erie but in the city of Erie on a whole. With this newest $135 million expansion they have planned for downtown, it is great to have a good partner in helping the city of Erie and helping us grow. With this expansion, there's chances at upwards of 600 new jobs and additional tax revenues that I don't think there's anybody in this town that would gripe at that. It's awesome that they are a good partner. Once again, Erie Insurance, and not only for the city of Erie, but the Erie community on a whole. One other item I have, I want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. Once again, the Sisters of St. Joseph's since 1988 have been providing meals through Gannon University or at Gannon University, and this year's no different. They have a delivery service, so if somebody cannot get downtown to get this meal or their family, you can call 836-4100 and they'll assist you, get your address, and whether it's one meal, 2 meals, 6 meals that need to be delivered to any one resident or place of where they're living, they will do that and they'll make it happen. And it's just nice, once again, it's the season of Thanksgiving, so thank you, sisters, for your good deal and deeds. And once again, anybody who would possibly need a meal come Thanksgiving, 836-4100, and they'll get you taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Arrington.
No committee report, Mr. President, but I do want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and have a blessed and safe holiday.
Thank you. Mr. Kwiatkowski.
Quick report. We attended all the following this this past couple weeks. The aggregate board for the pension, which I'm sure the controller will have some comments maybe. The investment committee, which is connected with the pension plan. Also, the Officers and Employees Pension Fund. They're all doing very well. We had the pleasure of attending the Airport Authority meeting today and meeting the new director. And it's interesting to hear his take on the airport. And hopefully we'll have that well-asked question, when do we get more air service? I plan on setting up a meeting with him and having a little personal talk with him, get some of his viewpoints and some of the complaints we get from our public. But it seems like he's been a very good director. He comes from Allentown and a couple other airports. We also attended the Water Reserve Board meeting, along with the treasurer and Rose and Mr. Witherspoon. We're doing well in that. It's well over $10 million. It's come a long way since the days when council took it over about, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. We also had the pleasure of attending the Veterans Day Parade, and I had the pleasure of marching with my fellow brothers and sisters of the Vietnam Veterans Association, and we also attended the ceremonies at Jefferson School. We also attended the Veterans Day celebration ceremonies at Gannon University. I had the pleasure of attending them with fellow veteran Fred Rush. That's always an interesting combo, him and I. And I want to thank council once again for the courage to do things like passing the land bank and other issues that come before us. This has been a very proactive council. I've been proud to serve on it. And as Mr. McGooey said, this was an issue that languished for many years. And I give council a lot of credit for getting it off and running. And, you know, we have to start trying some new things in the city. We're at that point now where complacency and mediocrity have no place in Erie. And I think this is a giant step forward. And I share Mr. Jones's concerns also that we don't restrict it too much, and we look for some good people to develop a lot of these blighted properties and areas. And I think it's only good for the city as a whole. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody listening, and that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Kwiatkowski. Mr. Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I attended a couple meetings this week. I want to talk about. I attended the Erie Together Community Forum. That was yesterday. Wonderful turnout. There's about 400 attendees to this get-together. It brought together leaders from Emerge 2040, Erie Refocus, Unified Erie County Health Department, and Erie Together. Updates were given on each plan, how their initiatives are going, and then there was a panel discussion to talk about the again, updates and also questions from all the attendees that were there. There's a lot of talk about the successes that are going on and how these plans are going to be tied together. So I think it was a good event, and I think they're going to continue to meet together to make sure that they're tied together and they're working together for the same causes. I also attended the Erie Insurance Project announcement. Again, great news. What else can you say? It's always great. Great things come from Erie Insurance, and we shall be thankful to hear. 3 years of construction jobs to build the facility, 600 permanent jobs. So again, thank you, Erie Insurance. I was fortunate to be interviewed 2 years ago. They were when they were doing their planning for the campus. They kind of had just different focus committees, and again, the great people there, and they really take the time and do it the right way each and every time. I also attended the Veterans Day Parade with Councilman Murski and Councilman Kwiatkowski. Again, I was honored to be in the parade and also the ceremony. It's always a wonderful ceremony with the choir and the speakers that turn out for the event. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to our veterans, and especially Councilman Kwiatkowski. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a few things to report. I wanted to thank the Youth Leadership Institute of Erie for being here today, this evening at our meeting. The work that they do with our young people is exemplary, and we're really thankful that they allow them to, they encourage them to come here and see just what local government does. I just wanted to congratulate Erie Insurance and make a note to the citizens that with the Erie Insurance Project, VelocityNet, and Harbor Place, that's going to be over 800 new jobs in the city of Erie within a 10-block radius. 800 new jobs coming to this town at the end. That's a much-needed shot in the arm, and we want to thank them for that private investment. And I want you to know that the things that we did today with the revolving loan fund and funding that are only going to enhance and supplement that type of growth in this community. And those are those private-public partnerships that everybody talks about. We're doing it. And, the naysayers will say, Erie status quo. You see right here the action that we're taking with the land bank, revolving loan fund. We're moving forward. We're not standing still. And the citizens can rest assured that all of us on this council want the city's best interest at heart, and we work hard for that. Also on here, which we didn't really talk about, is rezoning for Poles Real Estate and Pro Waste Services to expand their business. And I want to thank Mrs. Arrington. She's been working hard on this project behind the scenes, and she humbly didn't take any credit for it, but she's been working with Mr. Pole and making sure that jobs come to the east side. So I want to thank her for that. And also in town this week is the Jefferson Educational Society Global Summit. I encourage you, if you're able, to attend that. There's some really fine speakers that are coming into town. And I want to thank all our veterans for their service, and I want to wish all of the citizens a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. And with that, we will turn it over to Ms. Stankiewicz, City Controller.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Aggregate Board did meet this past Tuesday to review the quarter of the funds, and they did have a bit of an improvement, and they finished 18th for the quarter among the rest of the funds, which was good. It saw an increase of about $4 million for the quarter, so it's valued at $225 million right now. They also voted to bring on a new manager for their large cap investments. Clearbridge Investments will be coming on by the end of probably the beginning of the year. And then the Water Reserve also met, and their fund is now valued at $10.8 million, and they did see an increase for the quarter also. And they also will be bringing Clearbridge on as a large cap manager for them. I do have the books if anyone's interested in reviewing them. They're in my office, and the next meeting will be in February, and we'll review the last quarter for 2016. So that's it.
Thank you. Administration, Ms. Beck.
Yes, very, very quickly, as always, on behalf of the administration, we look forward to working with council on the future budget sessions and ensuring that we bring a fair and balanced budget to the citizens of the City of Erie. I think, Council President, you may have looked at my notes because I also wanted to thank Erie Insurance, VelocityNet, and Harbor Place, the Scott Enterprise Group for committing to the City of Erie and bringing these much-needed jobs to the Erie's downtown. We certainly look forward to all of the new construction and the jobs that will follow. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
City Council adjourns at 8:23. Mrs. Arrington, Mr. Brennan, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kwiatkowski, Mr. Winarski, Mr. Mursky. We started with one, right?
We started with more.